everybody, welcome to another episode of Javier In The Air. So, happy September 26th. The end of the year always seems to fly by quickly, and here we are almost at the end of September already. So, you might have noticed some weather change a little bit for the Cedar Park, Austin, Texas area, but it's coming back. So, in fact, let's see, it was 59 degrees this morning when I went out for my walk. And here it's about 1 o'clock now, Central Time, and it's already 84 degrees. So, so much for the nice little chill that we had in the air this morning. And it looks like things are going back to normal for this time of year, which is usually kind of hot to stifling hot. So we'll see what happens. Things may or may not get better. It's nice right now, though, even though it's 84 degrees, and some people had a conversation about that actually when it's cooler. But I'll talk about that in a minute. So I have all my windows open right now, letting the air, airing out the house, so to speak, and just, getting that cross breeze going through the house. And it feels nice. Even though it's 84 outside, it's probably about 78, 77 degrees in here. So that's nice. At least it is for me. Talking about temperatures. So a nice gentleman from Cedar Park group that I follow and that I'm on talked about only in Texas can you say it's 70 degrees, and somebody asks, is it a hot 70 or is it a cool 70? So I'm not sure. I'm sure that probably happens in other places, but Texas is known for it. And he was asking a little bit about it and how can that be and only in Texas? And I told him it's all about perspective, right? So if it's 100 degrees outside and then in an hour or two it drops down to 70, it feels cool. And you're like, wow, it's cool 70. It's nice. But every now and then, especially like during Snowmageddon, it was like 30-something degrees one day, and then by midday or so, it actually got up to 70 when we were coming out of the Snowmageddon. So that actually felt like a warm 70 because you're coming from a cold, deep, cold end, and you're moving your way up, whereas the other way, we're coming from 100 and moving our way down. So some people don't always get that perspective, especially if they're not in a hot zone like Texas is. So to them, it's always 70 is always, actually, it really depends. One part of the country, 70 can always be considered warm, and in another part of the country, 70 could always be considered cool. But Texas is one of those states that is known for asking if it's a warm or cold 70. So anyway, I digress, and I'm sure you're totally excited about that. So today's episode is going to be short but sweet. I know I've been saying that, and it's still been going on about 40 minutes, but this one actually should be maybe around 20 minutes or so. I don't have much this time. I'm still always looking for more people, and as we kind of go back and forth between the masking guidelines, by the way, you should stay masked even if you are vaccinated. Just letting people know that, how I feel. So if you're interested, you want to talk about your arts and crafts, you want to talk about your local mom and pop establishments, and I'll get to that in a little bit, and you want to talk about anything other than religion and politics, I say just let me know. Send me a direct message, smoke signal, carrier pigeon, a Morse code, however you want to do it, and I will get you on the show, and we'll talk a little bit about you and a little bit about what you're passionate about. So it's that time of year where we're seeing a lot of garage sales. We're seeing a lot of people cleaning house, almost like a winter cleaning as opposed to a spring cleaning. So there's a lot of houses in my neighborhood that are either going up for sale or it looks like they're preparing them for rent. So if you're interested in the Austin Cedar Park area, it might be time for you to cruise my neighborhood and see what's out there. So I'm seeing a lot of stuff being put out on the curb for pickup or for people to drive by and pick up. So again, there's another group that I follow on Facebook that regifts or gifts or has a wish. It's kind of a free, don't have to pay anything kind of a exchange, kind of a, not even really a barter exchange. It's just a, I have stuff, if you want it, come get it. If not, it's going to go in the trash. Or I'm really looking for this, and if you happen to be getting rid of it, let me know. So I think it's great. I think if you haven't found it in your area, you need to. I think if you have a lot of stuff you're trying to get rid of, there's always other people that are interested in it for the most part. And so post there. I firmly believe in recycling everything that we can to lower the amount of stuff, junk, that we put into landfills. So if you have something and it's not too bad, especially if it's like a toy or if it's a desk, furniture of some sort, chances are somebody either in your neighborhood or not even in your neighborhood may be interested in it, so you might be able to get rid of it. And if you really just want to get rid of it and not try to go through the rigmarole of having a garage sale, then this is kind of the group that I just talked about is kind of the way that you want to go. You could always just put it out on your curb. There's also always a lot of people that are on the lookout. They're walking around, they're driving around, and they like to post and say, hey, this stuff is available. Good for you when you do that. I'm usually one of those that drive around on an early Saturday morning after a workout or after I've had coffee with friends or dinner, or lunch with, or breakfast with friends, driving around and seeing what's out there. So you can certainly do that. I've picked up some great things over the years. So with this kind of cleaning going on, there's stuff in the curbs everywhere. So be on the lookout. As far as my gardening goes, you're going to see a bit of it in the Zen moment. You'll see the vining that's going on with my melons. No melons yet, but I'm getting growth, so I'm happy. And in that Zen moment, you'll see the second garden bed. I like to call it the garden bed of death, but I'm actually getting something in it, so I'm really excited about that. So one of the things that I've had a friend of mine mention the other day on Facebook was the plain chicken. I think the article was called Plain Chicken with the Patriarchy. And what it boils down to is this. Do you move out of the way for others when you're walking down a street? Now, I understand in different areas of the country that is almost unheard of, and people just walk straight down. But growing up where I did and growing up in the culture that I'm in, I was always told to respect your elders, even though sometimes you may not want to, and to that included getting out of the way when you're walking on a sidewalk, for example. I just find it common courtesy. Some people don't, and I'd like to hear why you wouldn't consider that courtesy. I also am saddened that it looks like some of that is going away. I know it's always been there, and I know this is like old man talk, but I've noticed it more, and maybe that's the thing about getting older is you start noticing these things. You start coming away from just being of self and think about or seeing more outside of your self-contained selfish self. And I mean selfish on many levels, and if you want to have a talk about that, come on my show and we can certainly talk about it. So, that being said, my friend was talking about how, you don't see that a lot, or a lot of times men expect people to move out of their way. Well, I was raised a lot by women. My grandfathers were there, but my grandmothers both stayed at home, and I spent a lot of time with them, and time with my mom, time with my dad as well. But I noticed it mostly when I was with the women that we would get out of the way. Now, unfortunately, I don't think that's cool for the women, but they did instill that in me, that I get out of the way to allow elderly who I have just an immediate respect for because that's how I was brought up, and especially women, get out of their way and let them have access to the sidewalk, right? So this is specifically talking about sidewalk now, and the playing chicken as who's gonna move, who's gonna move, who's gonna move, who's gonna move type of thing. Well, I was out walking this morning, and I moved out of the way for a young lady who had a baby in a stroller, and she thanked me for that. And I had another lady I was walking towards at another spot in my walk, and I moved out of her way, and she gave me the kind of a nod that walkers and people, pedestrians, give each other when they're acknowledging something. And then I saw a gentleman who's a bit older than I am coming on the sidewalk, and we started doing that sway. Are you gonna do it, or am I gonna do it, or are you gonna do it? So we're kind of walking towards each other, and we're kind of like, who's gonna. Finally, we got close enough, and I realized that he was more elder than I was. So I give him the benefit of the doubt of being older than I was. His beard was all white, and I moved out of the way. So we both looked at each other and had a laugh about it. And he was like, "I wasn't sure who was supposed to move out of the way." And I said, "Neither did I, but I got you. I moved out of the way." So we laughed and we kept moving. And then right towards the end of my walk, there was a lady behind me walking in my direction. But in front of me were three young kids. And I say kids, they were probably maybe preteen, maybe teenagers, I don't know. Two boys, one girl, one on the bike, one of them with the basketball. I think they were going to the park. And anyway, so I saw them, and it's just ingrained with me, and I moved out of the way. And I got the stink eye from all of them. I know I'm an older guy, white Hispanic guy who looks more white than Hispanic, and so I get the stink eye from a lot of young kids because their first reaction is this guy gonna be some kind of perv? Just how it is in the world today, which is unfortunate but true. So I got the look when I walked by, and I just kind of waved at them, listening to my music as I go on. And then I thought about what my friend had been talking about, so I looked behind me and I saw, sure enough, they did not move out of the way. In fact, took up the entire sidewalk, and the older woman behind me had to actually get out onto the street, or onto the grass, and then back onto the sidewalk. So I found it to be sad, but I also found, again, I'm outside of myself more that I'm older, thinking about the world around me, and I see something like that, and I just think it's unfortunate. So now, I don't know the whole thing. I just saw it, so, before people start, oh, well, you don't know what their thing is. To me, it's just common courtesy. You have someone that's elderly, maybe somebody with a child, let them have the sidewalk, and you can move on to the grass, you can move on to the street. I walk with my friend Julia that's been on the show before, and we do that when people are coming to us. We move on to the street, or we move on to the grass and let them pass by. If they're younger, sometimes they move before we do, and when I say younger, I'm still saying that they're probably in their 30s on up. How do you feel about that? What do you think is the norm? What do you think people should do? And what is the hierarchy? I haven't asked my friend this, but hopefully she'll watch the podcast. But what is the hierarchy? So are older women the ones who never should have to give way, and everybody should give way to them? And where are older men on that? Is it higher? Is it equal? Is it lower? And I want to try to start a conversation on this because I'd like to know, I really want to know what the hierarchy is supposed to be. So we'll see. We'll see what I get from this. So send me your thoughts via, either on here, on my YouTube channel, Javier In The Air, or on my Facebook page if you're a friend of mine. You can also still send me a message on Facebook if you just look up Javier Ayala, Ayala, and you can send me a message there. You can drop me a note. However you want, and let's get this discussion going, and hopefully I have something that we can talk about next week. So yes, I just noticed how long I've been going on this my soapbox, and so it looks like I'm probably going to have about the same length of a show as normal. So let's go Well, before I go into the Zen moment, I just want to talk about how things are looking better, even though we're still masking. There's still vaccines. People still need to get their vaccines, and but I think we're beginning to see a better uptick in people's overall sense of feeling. That things are getting better a little bit. Now, they may not be necessarily getting much better, but I think we're having a better understanding of everything that's going on, and I can feel it in the general vibe of the neighborhood. So feel free to send me any thoughts you feel about that. Next month, I'm going to try to get a brunch going again, like I had a couple of months ago. Probably outside. I got some new tables outside, so I think it'll be great. I'll have a lot of room for people to enjoy themselves. I'll probably get another German apple pancake going, and we'll get some pumpkin spice going because it'll be October, so we'll have fun with that. But so we're gonna go. I'm gonna go into the Zen moment, and then talk a little bit more because that's what I love to do. And talk about some upcoming projects I'm working on, and then we'll have our beer, and then we'll call it a show. What do you think? All right, so let's go to the Zen moment, and then I'll be right back. So please sit back and relax for about 2 minutes. I'm gonna loop this through, have some nice music, and get a nice vibe going for everybody here. So here we go. And we're back. So, hope everybody enjoyed the Zen moment. Yes, that was my backyard as I came out of the back door and showed the different things. Showed some of the projects going on as some people have requested. Also, you see the unfortunateness of my ash tree, which died due to Snowmageddon. Actually, it was kind of already fading because ash trees are supposed to only go somewhere between 25 and 26 years, from what my understanding, from what I've been told by local arborist. And that tree is probably upwards to 30. So it was having some issues to begin with. Or actually, it was beginning to have issues since when I bought the house 7 years ago, and it had been in decline since then, and now it pretty much is dead. There's nothing growing on it anymore. I had some growth 2 years ago, and it was beginning to decline there as well. Trimmed some branches off of it, some of the thick trunk branches that we had, to try to help it out, see if it will give it a renewal of energy, and that didn't seem anything. And then Snowmageddon just came and knocked its block off. So you did get to see the labels that I got going. The Saucy Brew Works out of Ohio. I'm a very small, very, very, very small investor with them, and they sent me that nice metal sign, which I finally got up yesterday. And then you saw the label project that I did quite a few months ago, where it's 50 of the first beer labels, 50 of some of the first beers that I did for the beer review before I started actually this show. And so I put that together and I screwed that onto the fence. Hopefully my neighbor doesn't go and put up a new fence anytime soon, or I'll have to take them both down. But you saw that on the previous podcast where I had a really close up of the 50 beers. I think that was in season 1, so if you have a chance, go back and take a look at it. Be very interested to see if anybody has any suggestions. I'm working my way to try to get another one the same size as that project, and I'm collecting beer labels, and in fact one of the ones I'm going to do here. So you also saw a little bit of the garden beds, and you saw the garden bed of death actually has 3 little seedlings coming out of it. I'm very happy about that. One of them, and the one in the middle, just seemed like it was one little leaf on there, and it stayed one little leaf for, I'd say, probably about 6 weeks. And then we had a little bit of a cold snap for this part of Texas this time of year, and I think that really helped out. And then I planted some more seeds in there, and I got 2 other sproutlings coming up. So I'm kind of happy about that. Plus, in that same garden bed, I decided to try my hand at trying to grow loofahs. For those of you who do not know, those loofah sponges, those kind of fibrous ones that usually are about that big, and they're white, and they're, you can get them at like Bed Bath Beyond and other bath, stores and stuff like that, are not from the sea. I was surprised at that about a year ago too when I started thinking about this. And you can grow them. When they're young, they look kind of like small cucumbers, and supposedly they're edible. And then when they grow and they get bigger and bigger, and then when they become mature is when they start drying out. Now the seeds are still inside that fibrous material. In fact, there's a way to get those seeds out without ruining that sponge, or the loofah. And then you can use that loofah as a loofah. So I'm trying my best to get them to grow. I know it's a little late in the season. It takes about 110 days to grow. But what do I have? I got time. So we'll see how it goes. I'll keep you abreast of that situation. And so I wanted to let you know that the music that you heard was, see if I can, let's see if I can't get to it, but it was by an individual or a group, I'm not sure which, called Lord Taylor. And it looks like it says until there's more time. I'm not sure, but if you're interested in knowing it, I get some free audio clips through the software that I use. And so if you would like to know, if you ever like to know what the name of some of the music is, I might start putting it at the end for those of you who have asked me about it. So let's go into the beer. I know I had an interesting beer review of 3 or 4 beers, 4 beers last week with my brother Robert. He was nice enough to leave me some other beers this time. So here is one called Exemption, and it looks like it is from, who is that? Taxman Brewing. You can visit them at www.taxmanbrewing.com. This is Belgian inspired, American crafted. It is 8.5 ABV, so not as high as the ones from last week, but still pretty good as far as the 12-ounce beer is concerned. This is a Belgian style triple ale brewed with spices. It says, claim an exemption, our Abbey style triple. This crisp golden ale unites lemon peel, orange peel, and coriander spices with flavorful Belgian esters. White wheat, flaked out, and artisan malts contribute a round, balanced body, complemented by golden candy sugar. I had to read that twice because I was like, candy? Candy spelled with an I, so maybe there's some type of sugar I don't know that goes with candy. So this is Taxman Brewing Company, and they are out of Bargerville, Indiana. So welcome to the show, Taxman Brewing. I hope you get to see this. I'm going to be taste testing your exemption. So here we go. Let's let her rip. As my brother has been pointing out, I have not been giving it enough head, no pun intended, to our beers. So let's really just pour that out. See what we get here. It's a lovely color. See if I can squeeze almost the whole beer in there. Not with the head, I won't. Just about. Oh, by the way, you want to see the, let me dry it off here. You want to see the front to this. There it is. Exemption. Belgian style triple ale brewed with spices. So really cool on the thing, especially as we start going into October. So let's see what we get. Wonderful smell of the triple coming through, of the Belgian ale. Nice, great head, seems to be staying on there long. Now I know I have a lot of oils and grease from my body, so you might see that thing, the head just disappear because that foam doesn't like it. Definitely an ale. I'm liking it. I'm digging it. I'm not tasting much of the spices. However, I just got a bit of the lemon peel. So let me see what else I can get with the second beer. Some of these beers I'm beginning to notice that have a lot of flavor and a lot of different flavors in there. You know, your single ones, which I try not to make fun of, but you know the ones that rhyme with Sud Light and rhyme with Siller Light, those they don't have a lot of nuances to it, which is fine, and people love that, and I'm you know, hey, their choice, that's what they want. So you don't have to like let it aerate and try to let some and oxidize in the atmosphere and try to let some other flavors through. That you could just. But if you want to try to get some of these more subtle flavors in some of these beers, like this one, I'm thinking you want to try to let it aerate a little bit as you're drinking. That's why you pour the head in the first place, and that's, you know, you want to drink the beer and you want to drink it as quickly as you like. But if you want to try to get other flavors, you may take some time. Not as much as like you would with wine. So you don't want to let it go flat. With wine, it's a totally different experience, and we can talk about that when I have a wine on the show. But here is, let's keep going. Now, see, just the few minutes that I've been gala 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 gala, it's let a little bit more of the. I'm still getting more of a lemon peel than I do of an orange peel, and I'm not. I'm definitely getting a bit of the coriander. Coriander's tough. At least it is for me because you taste coriander. Like if you go and you find your spice rack and you get your coriander and you taste it, or at least you smell it. It's one of those that you smell it and you go, okay, that's coriander. But then it doesn't seem to, at least for me, it doesn't seem to stay on my nasal memory. And when I smell it again, I'm kind of like, what is that? And then I have to go, they say it's coriander. I look and it's coriander and I'm like, gotcha. So, I'm definitely now, I mean, and then again, as I'm mentioning coriander, it's almost like the nasal memory kicks in from the long term. Or at least I'm saying, I know that's a taste I'm not too familiar with, so it's got to be coriander. I'm still tasting some of the lemon peel. I'm not really getting the orange peel, but I'm also definitely getting the coriander, and then I'm still getting that Belgian ale taste to it. Really good, really soft on the palate. I'm not getting overwhelmed by one or the other. I'm still not tasting any of the orange peel. I apologize to Taxman Brewing. Maybe it's just my taste buds. And if you'd like me to taste more, or you have another opinion on your exemption, by all means, please reach out to me and let me know. I'd love to have you on the show. Any brewery or anything like that, I'd love to have you on the show. And so just want to let you know that. I'm going to have one more taste, and then I'm going to give it a rating. Definitely more of the coriander now as we sit here and talk about it. It's aerating a little bit. You notice the head is now almost completely gone. Still getting the orange peel, still getting the Belgian ale taste. I'm getting the lemon peel. I'm not getting the orange peel. But overall, it's good. It's a nice, refreshing. If I was sitting on my back deck and it had a cover, I think it would be great. But since I don't have a cover, I would be sitting out in that stinking sun that's already 85 degrees. So, but it would be nice if I was sitting under a covered deck to enjoy my mid-afternoon just like I'm doing right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give this 7 thumbs up. And this is on a scale of 1 out of 10 for those of you who are coming into my show for the first time. 7 thumbs up on the exemption by Taxman Brewery out of Burgerville, Indiana. So, good. I'm going to finish that here in a minute once I finish the show. I want to thank everybody for watching it. Thank you for the Zen moment. If you would like to be on the show, please let me know. I'm always looking for mom and pop business anywhere in the country. I live in Cedar Park, Texas, but anywhere in the country, I'd love to have you on the show, especially if you have. Excuse me, that was pretty good. Especially if you have something unique or interesting that you want to talk about. Once again, no politics or religion. And for those of you who know why we won't have that on the show ever. There's plenty of other talk shows and podcasts that can talk about that. I will talk about just about anything else, and always looking to come out and do something. So if you have a local brewery, or you want to get on the Zoom call with me and talk about your brewery, I will certainly do that. Saucy Brewworks, thank you for the swag you sent me. Once again, thanks for Taxman Brewing, and thank you everyone for your time. I hope you have a good start of your week, and I will see you again here next Sunday. So have a good one, everyone. Thanks a lot.